someplace.
I don't know about TikTok, I don't know.
I don't either.
I'm not sure what that is exactly.
Oh my God, it's huge.
Yeah, huge, I know. Well, oh. Where did, oh, here, what did I do with my reading? Well, I have to try something else. I brought it, I know I brought it. Well, we're gonna read something from Everlasting Peace then. I left my reading in the other room. So we'll do this. And this is from Everlasting Peace, which is one of the books from the Pink Book series. And they're New Age scriptures for right now, for today. They're channeled messages from Jesus through a group of mystics called the Brotherhood of the Followers of the Present Jesus. And what Jesus is telling us from Jesus fulfills all. Children of my heart, I have come to speak to you of courage. For this is a time on which you must have much courage. You have embarked upon the work which shall bring you to many challenges, personal challenges to each of you. I shall not tell you what lies ahead of the joys and the courage required. For you have planted the seed of the future experiences by embarking upon the work of Jesus. The work of Jesus is a spark and a fire, which shall light a larger fire. But you shall have courage to tend this fire, to not be burnt, to tend gracefully and beautifully and joyfully. You are beginning to be aware that a stir will be caused by this work. And so I say, have courage. Have the courage that needs to make no rules, but depends upon your guidance and the will of God for you at this time. For I shall shepherd you my flock. For if there are no rules and you each obey your true impulse, all will fit together beautifully, beautifully. I give you no instructions but this. Act according to your own personal highest wisdom. For there can be no rules to say we shall have no more. We shall have more. In this group, we shall always do it this way or that. For every person in this world is different, and it would not fit into the rule made for another. So, this is what Jesus tells us. So we listen to ourselves and allow the intuition, the Christ within, to allow us to be all that we are and follow our intuition, because that is God speaking through us. And so it is, so let it be. Thank you, God. Well, our speaker today, wow, she's quite a lady. I went and looked up her record. She finished her first class on June 6th, 1993. She's gone through just about all of our classes. In fact, she has gone through all of our classes. She has been a prayer therapist. She has been a leader, teacher, inner Christ counselor. And she almost became a minister, but it wasn't quite right for her yet. So, but we know that she knows. We know that she has it within her to be all that she can be in a way that is right for her. And we love her inspiration and her joy that she brings to us here at the teaching of the inner Christ. Please help me welcome, speaking to us on Christ, richness of maturity. Please help me welcome Cathryne Bruce Johnson, our guest speaker for today. Good to see you.
Thank you. Christ, richness of maturity. There's a lot in that. I loved Reverend Marianne's reading today, the inspirational reading about having courage. And it takes courage to nurture our spiritual calling. It takes courage to move forward in our spiritual development, which is what maturity is. I looked it up in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Maturity is full development. I don't know if we're all going to get the full development while we're in our human bodies, but there is a purpose in our lives, and there is an unfolding, and we are growing all the time. October is a wonderful time for the teaching of the inner Christ. This is the month where we have our spiritual holiday. The basis of our teaching was fed to Reverend Ann Meyer McKeever. She was Ann Meyer at the time. 61 years ago, October 19th, 1962, she had a mystical experience with a spiritual teacher who came in human form to her. We later found out he was Maha Avatar Babaji. But let me read to you what she realized after this mystical experience, that fateful night in Russ Auditorium in San Diego, October 19th, 1962. When I woke up the next morning, I was a changed person. I now knew that we human beings are not mere humans, but that each one of us is a stream of consciousness from the highest universal level of vibration down to the physical level, with an individual body and identity on each level. Each of our many bodies has its own name. Our human name is supplemented by many inner names. Therefore, each of us has innumerable bodies on innumerable levels of vibration and innumerable spiritual identities. Each of us is an individual God expressing through many Christ levels, as well as our human self. I was aware that a new teaching had been placed into my mind. Can you imagine what courage that took? In 1962, it was revolutionary to realize that we weren't just humans trying to lift ourselves, but we were spiritual beings having a human experience. That's what came through Ann Meyer McKeever. And by the way, that came through this wonderful book, Who Was With Me, written by Ann Meyer McKeever, Dr. Ann Meyer McKeever. This is her autobiography. And if you want a fascinating read, this is the book. It is a wild ride. And I'm going to talk later about our inner sensitivity class. Everything that we teach at the teaching of the inner Christ. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, it's not on.
It's not on.
It's not on. It's not working. It just went to switch it. Oh, I think you got it.
Everything that we've learned in from our textbook, Being a Christ, in our inner sensitivity training class, Ann Meyer McKeever lived. She lived it before she could teach it. And she continued growing and teaching more. So this is the book for that adventure. Wow, what a revolutionary idea. We're spiritual beings having a spiritual experience. And the other thing that we learned is this concept of the Christ consciousness that the word Christ, the term Christ, was not just identifying a spiritual leader. The Christ consciousness is a term that indicates a point of identity of each person, where the human being knows itself as God, as divine mind, and God, divine mind, knows itself as the human. And we called that, or it was called, the most glorious dual life. And in the maturity, the development of this is really a nurturing of that seed idea that at my human identity, I am so much more than this package of personality that I came in with. And all I can say is thank you, God, because it takes a lot of courage to be a human being. And it takes a lot of courage to unpack what we come in with and what we gather in through our human experience. So my story with the teaching of the inner Christ, and had this incredible experience. I had developed a relationship with Babaji, and I don't have a good picture of Babaji, but if you get this book, Who is With Me, you could see a faint picture of Maha Avatar Babaji in the corner. And there's more about him in Yogananda Paramahansa book, Autobiography of a Yogi. That's right. So I came to TIC probably in somewhere at the end of '92, and I took the class in 1993, as Marianne said. This is about I think it's a 12-week class, and on the third week, we had the meditation where we're going into meditation, and we're making contact. We call it with our that inner self, Christ self. And one of the things we learn that's very unique about teaching of the inner Christ, not only are we each a stream of identity, vibrational identities, each of these vibrations has a unique frequency, a unique sound, which is a name. Name is nature. And there's a feeling to that somehow. There's a signal. So when we tune into that vibration, we know we're tuned in because we get a unique signal, different for each person and different for each of those vibrational identities. So, and then when we take the course of inner sensitivity training, what we learn to do is we make contact. We learn to nurture that relationship. And then the teacher is nurturing the student in the confidence of growing into that spiritual self-authority. Because, our full development, maybe not full, but our development of our spiritual awareness is knowing that my wisdom, the wisdom comes from within, that we each have that stream of identities, of vibration. It's not that somebody from out there can tell me what's true for me. Now that I have my inner Christ contact and I have my vibrational signal, so I know I'm tuned in, I myself can tune in and know from within what's true for me. And no one can tell me what's true or not true for me. I tell myself. That is one of the unique, wonderful things we learn in a concrete basis at the teaching of the inner Christ. And that's what I call our spiritual self-authority. That's our dominion. And we nurture that. When we first get that on the third lesson, let me tell you, I called my friend who is spiritual, because when you're first learning, it's like a little baby. We take care of the baby. I don't want to hand the baby to someone who's going to take my baby and throw it in the pool. No, I got to take care of this baby, and if I share it with somebody else who is like mine, is going to hold it as tenderly as I do. So I knew someone like that. I was so excited. I said, hey, I'm taking this class. Had this incredible experience. It was with Jesus. I felt this quickening. We go through something called a psychic barrier. All our ideas about ourselves and who we think we are at the human level, the psychic barrier, we learn to go through that. And then we have this spiritual, this experience of, oh my gosh, the floodgates open. So I went to my girlfriend and I said, it's in the book. I have my signal. If you want your signal, I can help you if you want to do meditation. So I just followed the way my teacher did and the way it was in the book, used my own signal. She had her Christ signal. And I didn't even know what an incredible thing it is. You know, one flame lights another. And my flame was lit, and I immediately went to my friend and lit someone else's flame who came to TIC and took the classes. So that's nurturing, and we nurture this first, for those of us that have had this contact for so long, we go, yeah, it's just natural second nature. But maybe, I'm remembering how unique it was, and that it had to be nurtured. I had to practice. I go into meditation. I learned how to check for, just tune in. Hey, Jesus, and I get my signal. What's going on with this situation? So that's nurturing. And every day, learning to check in with my inner self more and more. What courage it takes, because we start changing. We start viewing ourselves differently. And we view the people around us differently, because we begin to see them, hey, if I'm a Christ being, oh my gosh, so are you. You are more than this personality that's presenting to me. So we nurture that seed. The next thing we do is we learn, as we nurture, we learn about lifting vibrations. As our sensitivity grows, we become aware of, some things feel so nice, so lifting, so good. Other things feel, that felt really spiky, or someone was really angry, or I felt really bad. We begin to differentiate the frequencies, and we learn about lifting. I can call on my inner Christ self to lift. Some people say healing, but we're lifting vibrations. So that's the second part of maturing, of developing our richness of our spiritual experience. We nurture it, and then we start to lift. We start to become aware that we lift. Sometimes we get thrown in some really heavy vibrations. Some people call it kind of dark. But we can go there now because we have our spiritual self-authority and we lift. And many people on this journey may find that they're attracting more and more things to lift and heal. And it's a gift. Some people, my sensitivity is a curse. It's not a curse, it's a gift, because we can lift everything through our awareness of our Christ vibration. How powerful that is. And I'll just share one time, I had a wounding when I was a girl in third grade. Or in second grade, I had changed schools, I changed states, and I went to a school and I didn't get along well with the kids. And third grade, it just got to the point where I've shared this with the group before, but I'll share it again. It just got where I felt like every time I came in, to the school ground, it felt like the whole school was chanting bad names to me. They called me Witchy Poo. I had a profile. I have a very elegant profile. And they called me Moosey Brucey. My last name was Bruce, and they called me Moosey Brucey. It hurt my feelings. I'm a little kid. And one kid starts it and everybody gets going, and it just felt like this whole vibration where everybody was rejecting me. So this was 3rd grade, and it was embarrassing. My grandfather would take me to school, he'd drop me off, and maybe, I could hear the kids chanting and thinking, my grandfather can hear this. Well, at the end of the school year, there's an awards ceremony, and I went into the gym. We all gather in the gym. And this was a Catholic school, by the way. And, I didn't understand why the teachers or stuff would, I wanted some protection, and I didn't feel that was there. So I walk into the gym, and as usual, as soon as I walk in, I felt like everyone in the on the bleachers were chanting those bad names to me. That was usual. So I sat down, and then as the staff is giving out awards to the students, they called my name. They called my name, 3rd grade. And it felt like the whole school was chanting. And the principal was up there, some of the teachers, and all they said was, hush down, hush down. They call me terrible names, and they're telling the students, hush down. And I felt not protected. But there I did. I came up, and then I found out that I was getting an award for being the only, I don't know, maybe one of the 2 or maybe the 3 students in the whole school that year who had not missed one single day. I had perfect attendance in 3rd grade. And what I realized, how old was I then? 8? Was I 9? I don't know. I just realized, oh my gosh, this has been happening every single day. And now, it's happening in the gym. And all the principals are saying is, hush down, hush down. I got an award for being rejected. Let me tell you what, it's a very hurtful thing for us to carry, burden. Let me tell you a healing I had probably 23 years ago. I went to Ireland to assist in some teaching the inner Christ spiritual work. I was assisting one of the teachers. And I was reading our pink books, which Marianne talked about, the channeled messages from Jesus. And I was reading in, I think it was Giving, Forgiving, about how to bring up all the hurts, bring it up to your inner Christ for healing, which means wholeness. Healing means wholeness. It's not that healing happens, it's that wholeness is revealed. So I said, yeah, that's a big one. I felt inspired to bring that up. And I brought that up and went back in my mind and the feeling. And it's as if I had a dream. And the dream was, I had made this agreement to go through this before I was born to lift the feeling of rejection. And I realized that's one of the things I get to do. It was as if the gathering of all the soul, all of us before we go into earth, and someone is saying, okay, who wants to take rejection on? Who's going to take that? And I'm out there going, hey, I'll take that. And we're going, all right, Cathryne. So I grabbed it, and then, I was born. And this is what I realized. Oh my gosh, this is not who I am, because that's how it felt. That was the human experience. This is just what I do. I heal this crap. I heal this. And so in this meditation dream thing, I was transformed back, to that school, to being in front of the whole school, all the bleachers, little 8-year-old, 9-year-old me. And instead of people chanting, Boosey Brucey, Witchy Poo, those hurtful names, what I got was everybody was cheering. Yay! You're doing what you're supposed to do, and we're all here to help you. We're here to help you heal this. This transformation, the lifting, the wholeness that came from that. And from then on, stuff's, this is the weave of the rug for me. It's something that comes up a lot. Insecurity, sometimes feeling rejected or rejecting myself. But now I know, it's that thing again. It's that thing I do. I lift. It's not who I am. And that, you talk about it. This is what connecting to our inner Christ self does for us. It brings in deepest, most profound expansion of spiritual understanding. So, I'm grateful. Now, I'm okay now. Even though stuff still comes up, I'm okay. Such a freedom. So that is the lifting action. And the next thing that came to me about maturing is embracing. So we nurture, we lift, and we embrace. And I'm just saying, I'm still learning this, but I'm really getting it. Just embracing our human experience. I am finally at the stage in my life where I'm like, I'm okay. I love myself, all my flaws. I'm not even have to try to be perfect. I used to feel like, well, if I wasn't perfect, if there was anything for anyone to find fault with, then, that was it. That was the end. It's not. Mm-hmm. And thank you, God, for the lifting of that burden and the love in my heart. That I know it's a vibration that I can share wherever I go. It's these vibrations we take with us wherever we go, whether we're consciously lifting or not. The lifting still happens. So, I embrace my experience of being a human. I embrace my inner Christ self. I embrace my inspiration. This is the richness of the Christ consciousness coming through. So my friends, I want to tell you also, these are some of the precepts of the teaching of the inner Christ. There are 5 of them that I want to share. 1, each person is a unique Christ identity. We're all Christ beings, and it's unique. 2, because we're all Christ, we're equal in our Christhood. There's no hierarchy of one soul being more evolved than the other, or I'm not evolved enough, I need to get somewhere. We're right where we're supposed to be doing what we're supposed to be doing. So there's an equality in that. We all access the Christ vibration. The third thing is that every person has the ability to be aware, just to be spiritually aware. There's no one who's cut off. Everyone has the capacity to be aware. And number 4, we all innately possess the spiritual gifts. In other words, we can have clear seeing, clairvoyance, like a spiritual seeing beyond the mind and the human. Clairaudience, the spiritual hearing. Clairsentience, the spiritual knowing. Every one of us has that built in. Now, some may be more proficient at it, but every one of us has that. And most important, we all have that Christ consciousness of universal love. All of us can tap into that. There are no lost souls. And the 5th thing is that all persons may develop their intuitional faculties. And this is all from our textbook, Being a Christ. It's all from that first chapter. So what that means is, if you feel the desire to make that contact with your inner Christ self, if you haven't done so, or you feel like you know, but you don't have a clear signal or a clear sense, go to teachingoftheinnerchrist.org. Find when there's a class. It's called Inner Sensitivity Intuitional Training. We call IST, and Inner Sensitivity Training. And this is the textbook that's used, and it is so rich. It is so rich. And you've already taken the course once or twice or 3 times. Take it again, because every time it just opens more and more layers. So I want to invite all of you to nurture, to lift, to embrace your spiritual nature, to embrace the human experience, to embrace moving from judgment to love, to embrace seeing the courage in every human being that is going through their stuff as a human being, but are actually, infinite spiritual beings having a human experience. And embracing our beingness versus our doing. That's a big one for me. And so with all of that, nurture, heal, embrace, that's our spiritual self. That is our spiritual self-care. And I want to share something really personal with you. I asked my husband today to print this for me. I sent it to him because his computer's connected to the printer. And he ended it with, love your husband, for he loves you like a flower. So love the ones that are in your life, because we're all flowers.
Thank you, Cathryne. Very inspirational. Thank you. Tells you quite a bit about the teaching of the inner Christ. Isn't that wonderful?
That's great.
Well, now we have the opportunity to share of our bounty with the teaching of the inner Christ. And for those of you who are online, if you have found value in today's service, we invite you to assist in supporting the teaching of the inner Christ as you are led by visiting our website at teachingoftheinnerchrist.org with your donations. And we trust completely what Jesus told us about this in Luke 6:38. Give and it shall be given to you. Good measure pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. Into your lap. For the measure that you use it will be measured back to you. So we say, thank you, wonderful God, for this. And now we have an opportunity to sing our